Fitness Pro Mentor community, welcome to another episode of the Minds on Muscle Fitness Pro Mentor Show. If you are new here, Glenn and I and Taylor have a marketing mentorship to help personal trainers like you 2 to 3x their personal training business, and I love helping people succeed.
Woo!
Woo, Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, woo, love it.
All Ric Flair is a WWF, WCW fan, so all about that. Hey, listen, we're going to talk about something really cool today. Glenn and I have both on different journeys of just learning about ourselves, and there's some really cool stuff around specific focus windows, what we call ultradian cycles, and also thinking about this idea of the Pomodoro method. And if you're a personal trainer, I want to share some ideas with you, Glenn and I both do, of how you can optimize growing your business and working on all the different facets of the business in strategic ways where you don't get bored or burnt out, because being burnt out when you've got a lot to do sucks.
Being bored or burned out is the worst because it just sucks the passion out of the game for you.
So if you haven't heard of us or seen us before, Glenn and I'm the owner of a business in Newmarket, Ontario called Strata Internal Performance. Glenn is our community manager. Taylor is our sales front door community guy. Sales guy. We got a really awesome team here. And we both, and all of us here, spend different focus hours and windows trying to develop and grow different parts of this business as a team, which is such a wonderful thing to have all these people working together, not doing it alone. But truthfully, I would know from talking to Glenn and many of our students, it can really, really be a burnout. You can really dry yourself out. Like, I know you were exploring social media stuff and you would spend 3 to 4 hours at a time working on a video where you were like excited about some new ideas, but then all of a sudden, once you get past the excitement, it turns into a lot of stress and burnout.
Oh, tons of stress and burnout. If it becomes unmanageable, you're on the wrong track, so to speak.
So one of the things I want to share with you is this idea of ultradian cycles, which I definitely learned from Andrew Huberman. And I know that Glenn and I and most of you are big fans of his. I think he does some really, really good job. And I want to share another idea called the Pomodoro method and the 5 pillars of personal training and how we can put all these ideas together. But before we jump in, Glenn Owen, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good. And I'm so good. I actually just want to, if it's okay with you, I'd love to jump into this because you brought this idea to me today. And I was like, we know we keep these things a little bit like shorter, briefer, quick to digest, lots of information and value. But all this information, I wasn't sure where you were going to go with it.
So if you think about the idea of circadian rhythm, it represents basically the 24-hour cycle that you have throughout your day, and basically everything from sleep and how our body autonomizes this entire thing, right? Circulatory idea, thinking about the 24-hour circle. Ultradian cycles, as I learned from Andrew Huberman, because I am definitely no expert on this, are these shorter duration cycles in which we have for attention span. And I do know from reading about this thing called the Pomodoro method, which we'll talk about in a moment, that people will have a variety of different levels of attention cycles to focus on any one thing, anywhere between 20 minutes and up to 45 minutes. And I'm sure this varies amongst different folks. What's very interesting about this is if you're thinking about your business and you're in the entrepreneurship side of things, and I hate to say it, even if you work like Glenn works at Strata, right? If he worked at another gym where he was an employee, it would still be the same thing. As a service provider, there's a level of entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship that has to happen because you have to work on all these different skills. Communication, your business, sales, technical, being creative with the information, right? This is stuff I learned from RTS. There's a lot. So the thing that I want to try to position is if we understand ultradian cycles, right? This idea, and you will know that there is a window time, call it 35 minutes, let's call it 20 minutes. Let's go low. 20 minutes that you could put focused, hard work in. And after that 20-minute time, you become too saturated and you cannot soak in any new information. Your creativity, your energy, everything just starts to drop down a little bit. Now, some people will push through this and keep going and keep trying, but truthfully, your productivity will drop. One of the things that I love that I learned actually from Simon, who comes here, who is a very academically astute individual, and for his career has to study a lot of different worlds. He introduced me to this idea of the Pomodoro method, which is a form of studying. And so when you think about someone who's like a medical doctor, the layers of information they have to study is so vast that for them, well, how do they study biology and disease and pharmacology and all these things concurrently, and at the end of the 8-10 year time actually come out on top and actually have had time to study it all? Well, they do it strategically. And they do it such that the Pomodoro method talks about how you study for a 20-minute window or so, and then you take a 5 to 10-minute strategic break, if you will, something where you enter into this kind of mindless autonomous behavior to help you recoup yourself. And then you move into a different subject in the same wheelhouse, but a different thing, different experience, if you will, for another 20 minutes, and then a small micro break to recharge. And then you pick another And then over the day, you can actually recycle, right? If that's a 3-hour window, call an hour and a half window, you can recycle those topics 2 to 3, 4 times a day if you really want to study for a 6 to 8 hour window. But it creates this really, really nice breakup in that you study one subject, you get a break, and you do something that's mindless and autonomous to your system so you can actually neuroplastically absorb that information. Then you move on to a new topic that is a bit different, right? You want to make sure the learning style, the experience is different. Like if you're just reading a book about this and you're reading a book about this, the absorption style is too similar, right? So you do 20 minutes of studying neurophysiology, and then you spend 20 minutes calling local businesses to build relationships, right? These are two different things in the same window with different skills, and there's enough separation from the prior that you can actually move on to this thing with a level of recharged and energy and actually feel good and not feel too burnt out. Then at the end of that 25-minute, 35-minute window, whatever the window is for you, you move on to another subject. Say, I'm going to post on social media. And all of a sudden now, you get this really nice triple cycle of you do this studying, this business stuff, and then social media. And these three things are completely different. And if you really want to, like I was saying, you can cycle through all these ideas. But this is very cool because you can take this idea, and we'll talk more about specificity in a moment, the idea of ultradian cycles, the amount of time that you can focus on a specific task in this kind of work mode, and also knowing the recharge that's required, and the Pomodoro learning method, which creates just kind of staggering learning styles and shorter windows. You can be extremely efficient with your day and not get exhausted.
Cal Newport, who is well known for his book, I believe it's called Deep Work, and he's working on a second one right now. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. He discusses this idea and this concept at length. And actually, in fact, even Huberman might have gotten this protocol and discussed it more from his podcast with Dr. Cal Newport. I think this is an important thing to say as like a huge like underline asterisk is that when you're doing this work, you have to consider it deep work and that you're removing all distractions. The whole reason this works is because you're pushing your brain and your nervous system hard for 25 minutes and then you're letting it relax and recover. Then you're pushing hard for 25 minutes and then you're letting it relax and recover. So you have to put your phone on silent, do not disturb, tell whoever's in the area you can't be bothered, or if you are going to be doing this, perhaps find a quiet space like a library, maybe a coffee shop isn't the best place, but then you got to go and you got to do this deep work for that 25 minutes and then take your break. But it is highly dependent on not being distracted, because what ends up happening is often for the first couple minutes, your brain is like slowly building the momentum to get into that deep work mode, that flow. And then for the 5 or 10 minutes after you get into that flow, you're in it and you're doing it. And it does not take a lot to get distracted and pull yourself out of that flow. And it might seem like your brain's firing all cylinders if someone knocks on your cubicle or knocks on your door and says, "Hey, Glenn, what are you doing right now?" You're like, "Oh, I'm busy." "Okay, I'll come talk to you later." That little 10-second interruption can be enough to lose, honestly, 5 minutes of quality work as you try to get back into it. Scientifically verified. So it's not just about having these dedicated work blocks. It's about treating them as dedicated work blocks and removing all distractions at that time. And then you can respond to your text messages or do your mindless stuff in your rest block.
I knock on Glenn's cubicle all the time, so I completely concur.
He does.
So I'm actually going to throw this out there. This is actually my pick of the week, but I'm jumping ahead here because this lines up perfectly with Glenn. Because for me, I'm a highly busy person. I need to block out all sensory information when I'm in deep work. So what I would encourage anyone to do, this is my pick of the week, so I'm jumping ahead here, is if you struggle with distraction, besides turning off your phone and not looking at things that distract you, go to a musical instrument store and buy noise canceling headphones or noise compression earplugs, which are very inexpensive. And the reason why I would say go to a musical instrument store to do so, and you can get some very good digital compression from like Apple Store and stuff like that, is you want to get something that you completely turn off all the ambient noise around you so you can just focus on right in front of you. And in my opinion, if you're going to listen to anything to try and help you block out the sound, I would say pick a level of music that is very calm, like electric lo-fi, where there's really no variation in it, or frankly, even just potentially a low level of white noise. Something that's just calm and something where there's no change in stimulus. Because if you're listening to your favorite song, right, it's easy to catch the melodies and the moments and get distracted for a moment. So pick something where you don't hear Glenn, you don't hear the gym, you don't hear me. It's just everything's nice and quiet, and you have something that helps you to draw your focus towards the thing that you're doing for that window. So my pick of the week is musical instrument blocking sounds.
I was going to say, just to that point real quick, Huberman did a podcast on, I forget what it was, but he talks about the binaural beats that you can listen to off of YouTube or anything like that. And it has been shown to be helpful as long as you find the right frequency. So that's something as well you could pump into your ears while you do it. Very, very like consistent 30 minutes of the same sound, or 90-minute blocks if that's what you decide to do.
Beautiful. Love it. Binaural beats.
Binaural beats, Biaural.
Very cool.
If you Google it, you'll see it. It's pretty easy to come up by.
Very cool. So next, what I want to throw out there is something that I have talked about on this mentorship podcast before, and is what I call the 5 pillars of personal training. And this came to me when I was actually helping Taylor here 8.5 years ago, right, one of our busiest guys, trying to triage how he focused on things. And so the 5 pillars of personal training really are: 1, technical studying of moment arm anatomy, the person, the exercises, the thing, the knowledge of the stuff that you do, everything that involves exercise. Number 2 is communication, right? And not just like learning about communication, but practical communication strategies to have conversations with people and make sure that you are on the same page and things are going the direction that you want. Number 3, business. There's so much to what you could work on with your business. In most cases, it kind of comes back to communication, but focusing on sales and retention are far more important than focusing on marketing if you have people in front of you. And if you need people in front of you, focusing on your marketing and advertising knowledge. Number 3, creativity. This is actually, I think, an important pillar, because the more creative you can get at improvising with the information that you currently have, the more versatile you become across the board. And you can become more creative with your communication. You can be more creative with the things about, marketing and business. You can become more creative with your technical exercises. The most valuable exercise I did as a personal trainer was my creativity time on the gym floor with the study groups at Persicini Fitness years ago. And we were doing them here pre-COVID. And that guy say, like, us just looking at an exercise and going, this is an incline chest press. What could we use this exercise machine for that is not for the upper chest? And it just really helps you explore in a very different way. And then number 5 is what I would call mastery or review. And I do think this is an important time. I think one of the things I often find myself doing is, if I want to go deeper into a subject, looking at something I already know about, like I love the deep dive into post-activation potentiation I've done has been vast. And then I got this idea where I want to learn more about neuroplasticity. Well, then I can easily review post-activation potentiation and the long-term potentiation aspects as it connects to neuroplasticity. And that sounds like a whole wordful, but I've studied all this stuff, and I can go and review it and add one more little thing that allows me to expand that knowledge pool. So here's what's cool about that. Technical, business, communication, creativity, and mastery. Now we have 5 different subjects in which you can do in your day to focus on developing your business, which I think is great.
How, Brandon, I was thinking about this earlier. I was going to ask you this on the podcast. I was going to ask you this in person, but I figured this would be better. How do you think you'd go and figure out what your time should be prioritized for in those 5 categories? Like, you did a great distinction between like marketing and sales, right? But how else would you figure out, should I be focusing on my creativity today? Should I be focused on communication? Like, how do you think you discern where people should start?
In my opinion, and this is actually inspired by a conversation I had with one of our students yesterday, you have to focus. I believe I've said this before. I would focus on the ones that will have the greatest payoff, that will support you. And this could be, it depends on where you are in your journey, right? If you need more money and clients, I'd focus on that. If you're looking for growth and development and challenging yourself personally, I'd focus on a different window. But I would really make sure that you know what is it that you need and desire right now. And I'd be really clear with this, right? I would try to get away from the negative place of, I need more money, right? I would try to think about, I would like to get more clients. I would like to be able to help more people. I'd like to help people struggling with pains more. So therefore, if you're trying to, I don't have clients, I've just moved to a new gym, which is like one of our students just hired somebody. You're at a brand new gym. I'd say 1, focus on the communication. Where are you struggling with your communication? Well, I want to go talk to local businesses, but I don't know how to do that. Great. Write out a script, like the simplest thing you can do. If you want to go faster, we at our mentorship can give you scripts. But I would say is, if you don't know what to do, I'd say go knock on a business down the street and go and just talk to them and go and say hi. And then when you leave, sit in the car and go, okay, what worked about that? What didn't work? What direction did I want to go? And then you're like, okay, well, when we start talking about business stuff, they seem to like shut down. So maybe I can think about a different way to approach it next time. And this is where you actually have to get to the reps in. I mean, it's just like going to the gym. You want to grow your arms.
Yeah.
Right. You're some people. The first time I wanted to grow my arms, my first mentor said, you don't need to train your arms to grow your arms. You just need to do squats. I was like, why? He's like, oh, growth hormone's going to help that. I was like, okay, cool. So I squatted for a long time. My legs got like 28. Like I had enormous legs for the longest time. My arms didn't change at all. So I had to do all these reps to get all this experience and wisdom to go, you know what? That didn't work. How do I grow my arms? I have to train my arms. Oh, well, that first thing was wrong, but I spent the time exploring it. And so what do you need? Do you need more clients? Great. Of these things, what's going to help you get more clients? Going and knocking on doors and communicating with people. Business-wise, how do you sell someone on buying your thing? Technical, how do you actually make sure when someone walks in, you actually provide an experience and results that they like? So I think that's a good question. I think it really, really depends on the individual.
Yeah, because that's not one of the hardest things is being objective sometimes about where you are in your progress. And that's why people end up hanging out with us, right? And coming to a program is because they're not really sure what to do next, or they're not really sure the best way forward. They're doing the same things over and over again, and they've been told that's what they need to do, and they've seen that online. And that's where I love that kind of review mastery piece is so huge, crucial and huge, because I think sometimes we get so stuck on the like doing of things. Like action takers often get stuck on the doing of things and not enough on the, is this stuff working? Is it the best for me? Reviewing. And then other people get so stuck on the planning and learning piece that they don't take enough action to get that like visceral experiential feedback that they need to. And then some people are going to be probably in the sweeter spot, which is I'm happy to do action. I'll do a little bit of review. And that's, in my opinion, probably one of the better places to be, because at least in that way, you're actually taking a look back objectively and trying to figure out what we need to do next, but also you're going out there and doing the thing. As much as I love the idea of like manifesting things, manifesting only happens through action. You can't sit in a cave for 8 hours and grow your client base. You have to go out there and like you said, do some repetitions and do some real deep work. Because if you do that deep work, things will happen quicker and faster for you. I'm a huge fan of like removing distractions, something I've been working on since the beginning of this year, just removing distractions from my life when I do things. And it's amazing how much more work you get done. I'm going to add one more thing onto that, if that's okay. A lot of this information Brandon and I have been sharing today is going to be really, really helpful with the dedicated work blocks and the scheduling and the taking time back to like relax and let your brain reset. I want you to also take like a step further and think about how you schedule your life. And the reason I say that, because if you're the kind of person who's highly reactive with their time and does not plan ahead, it is very easy to miss these powerful windows of an hour and 30 minutes where you could be really growing your business, because you might just find yourself on the back foot or reacting. And if you're the kind of person who's constantly reacting, then you're never actually going and planning and progressing your life. You need to, like Brandon said, sit down, figure out where your biggest weaknesses are, schedule in the time to do that work, and then make sure you remove all distractions. Whether that looks like telling people in your life that you're going to be busy for the next little bit, not to bother you unless it's an absolute emergency, or just making that time a priority. It's really what it comes down to. So, I mean, I would also, what I encourage you to do is, great, you want to learn more, you're dedicated to growing your business, perfect. Plan those blocks in your calendar and treat them like any other immovable appointments. And you do have to move them because 2 clients want to book in for those 2 hours and you need that money. Great, do that, but then find another place to put them. Amen.
I would 100% agree. You have to put the time in the schedule.
You do.
One of our students asked me how I get so much stuff done. And I told him, like, no matter what, if I've got clients or not, I'm in the gym at 7:15 every morning. And I'm working on some social media posts. We're following up on leads. On Monday, I was reluctantly working on fixing a computer. Like, there's just stuff that has to get done. And so I schedule time that I'm going to be in the office fixing problems. And you just always show up. The thing is I find that with students who are brand new, right? There are students who are like, I want to make $150,000 a year working 35 hours a week as a trainer. You go, great, that's totally possible. And then they only have 3 clients right now, and they have a client on Monday at 11, and the next one's on Wednesday. Well, they take all the time in between, and they seldom actually do any activities that lead towards their business. Well, if you started a new job at an insurance company and you had no clients, right, you will have to sit in that cubicle from 8 to 4. Now, you might say, well, I'm a personal trainer. I don't need to do that kind of thing. That's true. But here's the thing. If you want to develop your business, you need to devote the hours towards your business. Because if I said, hey, you got 3 hours of clients, if you devoted 32 hours in the week towards growing your business, how fast do you think you could do it? Most people could do it pretty fast. I mean, frankly, I won't lie. Prior to COVID, I did not have the time to grow Fitness Pro Mentors. And then I had all my schedule stripped away. So I started a new business. And I had all this time to devote to the business. And grew it and did a pretty okay job with it, helping a lot of people, growing an amazing team, had a lot of fun with it. But it's because my schedule was forced away. And instead of sitting at home, and I was sad and angry, I won't lie, I doubled down and I made what I need to have happen. Truthfully, I'm very fulfilled with what we do at Strata. And I love helping people, and I just want to provide a bigger impact within the people in this building, because people who are committed to us, they deserve to get the highest level help. But I was forced, and I had all the time in the world. I shouldn't say that, but I had quite a bit of time. And the reason why I say that is not because I'm trying to inflate myself. It really isn't. It's more that if you need to grow and you are only working 10, 15 hours a week, you have the time to put towards it. And you could easily go, hey, you know what? It's Wednesday. No one's working. I got the time off. I'm going to go to the zoo with my kids. Okay. You will be slower along getting to your goal. Anyway.
Before we get into the pick of the week, I'm going to offer everyone like just a simple toolkit here. Takes maybe 10 minutes, but I think it'll have a huge impact. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and I want you to do the best that you can. Write down every frustration that you have in your business. Don't have enough clients, not making enough money, not meeting enough new people, having a hard time retaining clients, right? Whatever that is. Don't have enough time. Some people may be too busy. Write down every single frustration you can think of in 5 minutes. Look over that list and priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the biggest frustrations that you have. And once you have the top 5, look at number 1, 2, and 3. Those are going to be your first 3 blocks for your 90-minute time period. You've just discovered and figured out exactly what you need to work on. I don't have enough clients right now. Great. I got to work on my marketing. Number 1, marketing learning. Number 2, I'm not retaining as many. Great. I have to work on whatever the issues with my retention. Go through this simple exercise so you know exactly what you have to work on. It's super simple, super easy, and be honest with yourself. And don't avoid the hard stuff, because it's very easy to do that sometimes. I'm guilty of it. Brand's been guilty in the past. We all do it once in a while. But the more you go through this and the more honest you are with yourself, the bigger and faster your business is going to grow. You can be a fearless, beautiful, unstoppable, maverick entrepreneur of business. You just have to lean into some of the stuff that's hard right now. But you'll thank yourself for it in the future. I promise you.
So quickly, my pick of the week again was getting very good noise canceling headphones. I mean, you spending $300 to $400 on something that blocks out all the sound if you're in a busy, loud environment. Like you got to work at Starbucks a lot. I don't think there's anything that's a very good investment. If you can, try to block out all the resources, block out all the sounds and anything that would interrupt you. But I find noise canceling headphones to be an extremely powerful tool. But I've already talked about that. Glenn, what's your pick of the week?
I'm going to offer everyone here, a little bit different from what we've talked about today, but I think this also provides tremendous value in terms of focus. If there's something that you want to learn, and I get what I'm about to say, it could be easier for some people than others. If there's something that you want to learn about is a big gap in your business, what I want you to do, if you're not a busy trainer and you've got a full day off, or just do it on a Saturday or a Sunday if you're not working, I want you to take a full 8-hour day and do a deep dive and immerse yourself in one topic that you really need to work on for your business. Yes, over a long period of time, doing a little bit every day in different blocks is going to be really important and helpful. There's also a large body of research that shows that if there's something you want to learn, especially if you're new to it, and you do a real deep dive into 8 hours of learning about that thing, your brain retains a ton of information. And it can be a really great way to learn, like social media. If you're not on social media and you really want to break into that, if you do an 8-hour day of just like learning everything about a social media platform and practicing some posts and getting into it, you will exponentially increase the speed at which you get better at that thing really, really quickly. And I get, maybe you have a newborn kid or young children, it's harder to do. If you can have your grandparents or get some support, have them take it away for a day, and just focus on that, it can go a really, really long way if you've identified an area in your business that needs a lot of work. This is something that I found was really helpful for me when I went through a Tony Robbins program, is we had one day dedicated to one thing in terms of time mastery. And it was 8 hours in a row of just like, here's how to manage your time better. Here's how to think about this. Here's how to do this. And since then, my ability to manage my schedule and how confident and amazing I feel about it has skyrocketed through the roof. So I highly recommend that if there's one area that you know needs a lot of attention and work, dedicate yourself 1 8-hour day, do like a 90-minute block, take a half an hour of rest, go for a walk, move on to the next thing, but do these 4 90-minute blocks with half an hour afterwards to rest. And then when you're done that, chill out the rest of the day. You can go a really long way to learning, because it's some really great deep immersion, especially if it's on a newer topic.
Love it, Glenn. Thank you so much for that. Everyone, Fitness Pro Mentors, we're the Minds on Muscle show. Thank you so much for being here. If you're checking us out on YouTube, please join the Fitness Pro Mentors Facebook group. I'll send you a message and send some resources to help you out. But at the end of the day, we just want to see you have the businesses you want and to succeed and grow and be happy. Check out our other episodes. Leave us a review, and we'll see everybody real soon.
Take care, everybody.